Welcome to State of the Laundry Industry with Laundromat, episode 37, from 10 to 700 laundry pickup and delivery customers in just 3 years. Because you grew up from 10 to like 700 plus customers from your own vehicle, then you hired more. How long were you with Curbside for before you sold your business?
So I was with Curbside for almost 3 years.
Just remember your growth was tremendous. And also remember, you're so busy, and one time you're like, hey, I want to kind of throttle it like over the weekends, so you get your weekends back because you're hustling. I mean, you're a hard worker. So we just turned off Saturday and Sunday, or just Sunday, and you're like, wow, this feels great.
About that. Yeah. And that was another great thing about Curbside. It's someone who knows the business, right? Someone who doesn't say, hey, listen, naturally, if I work 7 days, I'll make more money than 5 days, but someone who knows the business like Curbside knows the busy days, knows the national averages on the, what the busy days are. We shut down pickup delivery on Saturdays and Sundays, and I wound up doing more business.
There are also sometimes where there'd be like a slowdown. It's like, hey, let's go do a text message blast. And then
that was great. That was great. Yeah, I never knew about that. You said, hey, make use of, what you have, right? And what you have is your customer base. That's, you worked hard building that up. You can sit there and let them just be your customers, or you can offer things to them and market things and, use it. So upon Curbside's recommendation, we would send a one-time, all right, $5 off. It would always net us profit, $1,000, $2,000.
Yeah. And I've got to credit Steve Locke. He's got Action Laundry over in Michigan. This is just brilliant. There's 2 reasons somebody doesn't do business with you. So reason number 1, they don't know who you are. See, normally you ask somebody, what's the number 1 reason? And it's like, oh, they don't trust you, or this, or, it's always like, maybe we didn't do a good job. But no, number 1 reason is they don't know who you are. And you touched upon that with when you're saying your online reviews and your online presence. So many people don't look at their online presence when they're looking at but that's what people do. That's what the consumer does. They say, and you got to think of like when you go to a restaurant, I've never gone to a restaurant that I can remember that I didn't look at the reviews first.
They're becoming, a cyber type world, everybody goes to their phone, myself included.
And then the second reason somebody doesn't do business with you is because they forgot about you. And then that comes in with the text messages. It's like, okay, they used to be in the habit or the scheduling pickups through the software, but then maybe they fall off the wagon. And then by just reminding them that, hey, you're out there, really the promotion is so secondary, whether it's $5 off or $10 off, it doesn't really matter. It's just like, hey, don't forget about us. Here's a link.
Yeah, absolutely. 700 people, they get a text message. If any of those 700 people, that's how I get a lot of customers. People call up and say, yeah, my friend uses you guys.
Just curious as far as like why you sold the business.
The business really did well. It did real well. And I said, how much more business can I do out of the store? I couldn't do that much out of the store.
Because it's like 1,200 square feet. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 1,200 square feet for what I bought it for and for what I was making. Because of the pickup delivery, it exceeded all expectations. A family friend who I had advised me throughout the whole process, he's got 8 stores. I called him up and said, hey, I bought it for this and I'm up this amount. And he turned around and he goes, oh, great, sell it. And I said, what? I'm putting everything, my world into this. I'm doing 78 hours a week, I said, "You crazy?" He goes, that store, it's a dinky store. You're not going to do much more business out of that store.
That's so amazing because it did all that business because of the pickup and delivery. And
that was the only reason it did all that business. You keep your numbers. What's the pickup delivery? What's the business from the store? Stores kind of, really.
And I had that with the fourplex. I split up, it's a triplex. I got an extra unit put in there. Keep in mind, this was like on a half lot. So it was so tiny. It just made sense to do a 1031 exchange because, and then for the exact same cash flow, I was able to get like 2 bedrooms, with garages and a much better neighborhood. I did the best I could out of that original investment, and that helped me get the next one. And I kind of see it like what you did too. Like you, by bringing in pickup and delivery, you took the store that was really capable of so much or X amount, and you just maximized the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it would have just been like a flatline investment. If you want to build up the pickup and delivery business, you can try, with your own car, you can.
Yeah. You could have the employees pick it up after their shift. I mean, there's so many options. The reason you're able to sell and get the amount of money you got for your laundromat for the investment was because you had a thriving pickup and delivery.
The buyer, he said, all right, I'm happy because he said, I'll tell you the only reason, nothing against the store. He goes, but the only reason I bought this store was because of this pickup and delivery business.
Wow. That's,
So,
I used to sell houses and you'd get like 3 serious buyers or 1 or 2, but there's not like 100 buyers out there. There's really, you're doing all that marketing, find that 1 or 2 people. And if that top buyer, obviously that was the top buyer, that's why you sold to him. The top buyer isn't there. The next best offer, maybe $50,000, $100,000 less. You never know. And we've had other clients where the person sells and the person buying it had been watching YouTube videos, the State of the Laundry podcast. When they bought the laundromat, it was no accident. They bought one with a thriving pickup and delivery business. That happened to be a curbside client. And so it was an easy transfer. Great. In many cases, those buyers, they were looking for something with pickup and delivery. And so that's in many cases, that's why they sold to that particular buyer.
Once I stopped delivering or once it got too busy, in most towns, there are local drivers, and you say, hey, this much per hour, you get them on the books, use your own car. It's great. There are many people that will use their own car. Maybe you pay them a little more, but you look at it over the course of the year and you see, did I really need a $40,000 van?
I know people bought the van and then they don't want their drivers driving their van.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They spend a lot of money on it.
I used to have a couple of drivers say, hey, I got this ticket. It's $130. What should I do with it? And I would say, all right, you can plead guilty or not guilty.
Right.
If you need a van, that's a good problem. I think
right.
You're like,
exactly. And then you could solve that problem with a van. You may not need to buy the van before you have the business. It goes both ways. It just depends upon the operator. Right? We've got a client in Sacramento who they hit it guns blazing. He bought the van, did all the stuff, grew the business huge. So everything came true. Then some people, it's for them, it may be better grow organically. So there's lots of ways of doing it. My biggest point I want to get across on this podcast is do it however you want to do it. If you want to buy it, you can. If you don't need to. Yeah, don't let a software company tell you got to go buy a van if you're doing it yourself. You don't need, that's not true.
By saying that, and it creates this false barrier to entry when, it's not there. Some places do need a van. If you have, hey, you buy a store that has this robust pickup and delivery and they're sending vans out, they're packed, they need a van. I wouldn't buy the van and then try and see if you need it. It's almost like buying a pair of Michael Jordans and expecting to be a great basketball player, hey, you got the van, right? You got the Jordans, but you got no game, right? You can have a great van, but if you don't have a pickup and delivery list, you have no one to deliver to. So I think you'd better spend the money on software and advertising.
The van is good advertising once you've got pickup and deliveries, so it does help. And then the neighbors see, hey, every Tuesday that van's stopping in front of so-and-so's house and it's branded, and then they may become customers. Yeah. So I do like the branding on the van, but when you first get started and you really need to get your presence, that van is it's not on the road. It's not advertising for you.
On-time delivery, being courteous with the customers, things like that are much more important than what you show up. And, if you have a driver show up in a nice van, he's rude to a customer, people don't even think about the van. It's nice. It's embellishing. It's a bit cosmetic, it's professional, go around with the van, but you literally do not need it to get a pickup delivery business going. I know with curbside, along with the software, Matt and Aaron, you are always there to help. I'll call in the middle of the day. It's, hey, I got this going on, So to me, that was always important that came along with the software and everything, that I was paying for.
A lot of these software companies don't know the laundry business, and you could just tell talking to them. And so good luck calling them and asking them, hey, how do I grow my business? Or what do I do with this commercial account? How would you price that?
So, and then I would do it, bit by bit, make sure it is always worth it to do it. Or you can go in and, build it and say, hey, I'm up to 30, 40 customers. Now I'm up to 70 customers. But more important than that, am I up to 70 customers and still not making money and I'm running around like a maniac? Or is it scaling like...
that's a great point. Great point, because I've seen competition both locally and then some of our clients are facing some competition where some of the numbers, what people are charging doesn't make sense. And you find out like a year later, they go out of business or they start doing a really bad job because they're like, why am I working hard on this? I'm losing money on every order.
Yeah. Right. And I could tell you another good point too, with the pickup and delivery, it was much, much easier to raise prices. You have a store, your machines are, whatever, $1.25, the small ones, $2.50, and then, $5. If you raise them by a quarter, you'll hear it from a lot of people. Oh, that's, they're making like a quarter is like $1 million,
Never coming back again.
Then it's personal. And yeah, I said, fine, I'm going to use the one down the blocks. And people do that. They switch, because, and granted, people are, on budget,
Yeah, I was helping out a client with something and I noticed he had a big jump in August. He had this big uptick in revenue. And I'm like, wow, how did you get all that new business? It wasn't the new business that attributed that. He goes, I just raised my prices. And so you can see his revenue chart just went way up. It's not like he lost customers. He just made more money.
I mean, it's something you have to do as a business owner just because of everything goes up every year.
And I think customers understand and they're sticky. We had a competitor at the time that was charging $1 per pound. And I'm thinking, who's going to order from us? We're almost twice that. And it wasn't a blip on the radar. I think people, if they're happy with you, they're happy with your service, they'll stick with you. They're not as price sensitive as the in-store customers. Well, just want to thank you for being on the podcast. I think a lot of people are going to learn a whole bunch. I think the number one takeaway is if you want to get started, you could get started, with the right software, right web presence, right guidance, and you grew from 10 pickup and delivery customers to over 700. That's just incredible. And you're a great operator. So I hope you get back in the game because you're top notch. And
I'm itching a little bit, it's here and there. I'm going to take a look at a couple of things. I haven't seen any, but it's all about getting a good store. And, if I do, I would just follow the same path I did before with curbside and just get it going right away and follow the same method.
Yeah, if it works, why reinvent the wheel? Well, thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt.
For more information about the Curbside Laundry's wash and fold and point of sale and pickup and delivery solution, go to curbsidelaundries.com. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. See you next time.